You were told that if you worked hard, played by the rules, and stayed patient, you would win. But what if the system you trust was never designed to let you win at all? What if your struggle isn't failure, but obedience working exactly as planned? This is a story from the Fortune Ledger HQ. From the moment you are born, a promise is whispered into your life. Not loudly, not officially, but constantly. Go to school, get good grades, find a job, save money, buy a house, retire peacefully. It sounds reasonable, comforting, fair, and that is precisely why it works, because the most effective systems of control do not feel like prisons. They feel like opportunities. Look closely at your life. You exchange time for money, money for survival, survival for security, security for obedience. Every step feels logical. Every step feels voluntary, but none of it is neutral. The system does not ask, how can you win? It asks, how long can you endure? A system designed for everyone to win would collapse instantly because systems are not built on fairness. They are built on predictability, extraction, control. If everyone won, there would be no cheap labor, no desperate workers, no obedient consumers. The system needs losers the same way a fire needs oxygen, and it does not choose losers randomly. You were not designed to escape the system. You were designed to power it, feed it, believe in it. From childhood, your creativity is standardized, your curiosity is graded, your intelligence is measured against obedience. The question is never, what do you want to build? It is, can you follow instructions long enough to be useful? School does not teach freedom. It teaches time obedience, authority submission, reward dependency. You raise your hand to speak. You ask permission to exist. You are trained to wait for approval not because learning requires it, but because systems do. By the time you graduate, you are not prepared to win. You are prepared to comply. No one ever shows you the contract, but you sign it anyway. It says, you will trade your best years for stability. You will accept debt as normal. You will measure success by survival, not freedom, and in return, the illusion of safety. Hard work was never the path to freedom. Hard work is the fuel. The system rewards. Leverage, not labor. Ownership, not effort. Access, not merit. You are told to work harder because working smarter would expose the truth. Opportunity is not equal. It is positioned. Those born closer to capital learn the rules early. Those born far from it are told the rules don't exist. By the time you realize the game is rigged, you are already deep inside it. Hope is not your enemy, but manufactured hope is because hope keeps you patient inside systems that feed on delay. One more year, one more promotion, one more sacrifice. The finish line keeps moving because it was never real. At some point, something feels wrong. You do everything right, but stability feels fragile. One emergency, one policy change, one economic shift, and everything you built starts to shake. That is not bad luck. That is design. The system externalizes blame. If you struggle, you didn't try hard enough. You made poor choices. You lacked discipline. The system is never questioned because a system that admits fault loses power. The question you were never supposed to ask is not, how do I succeed? But, who does this system actually serve? Once you ask that, the illusion begins to break, and once it breaks, there is no going back because now, you're about to see who the system was really built for and why their rules were never meant to be yours. The system does not protect people. It protects position, titles, institutions, balance sheets, power structures that predate you and will outlive you if left untouched. You were taught that the system exists to serve society, that laws are written for fairness, that markets reward value. That is the story told to participants, not to beneficiaries. The difference between participants and owners is that participants follow rules, owners write them. This is the first truth most people never learn. You participate in education, employment, banking, taxation, consumption, but you do not own the frameworks governing them. Ownership sits above effort, and the system was engineered to make sure ownership remains concentrated. Rules feel neutral, but aren't. Rules are presented as universal. Same interest rates, same laws, same taxes, but impact is never equal. A rule that is survivable for the wealthy is fatal for the poor. A fine is an inconvenience to one class and a life-altering punishment to another. Neutral rules in an unequal system produce unequal outcomes by design. For example, the banking layer. Banks are not vaults. They are gatekeepers. They decide who gets access to capital, who gets credit, who gets time. Money is created through debt, but not everyone is trusted with it. If you are poor, credit is expensive. If you are rich, credit is leverage. The same system, two different realities. Debt creates predictability. Predictable workers, predictable payments, predictable fear. A person in debt needs stability, avoids risk, accepts unfair terms. Debt turns freedom into a luxury, and the system expands fastest when people believe debt is normal. You are told government protects citizens from corporate abuse, but follow the revolving door. Politicians become executives, executives become regulators, regulators become consultants. The system does not collapse under corruption, it evolves through it. Laws are shaped not by morality, but by lobbying, and lobbying is simply legalized influence. When individuals fail, it is called irresponsibility. When institutions fail, it is called systemic risk. Banks get rescued, corporations get incentives, markets get stabilized, people get lectures. This is not hypocrisy, it is a hierarchy. You are told capitalism rewards competition, but real competition is inefficient. It creates unpredictability, so dominant players consolidate. Mergers, acquisitions, monopolies disguised as ecosystems. Choice becomes branding, freedom becomes subscription tiers. You don't choose between systems, you choose between interfaces. There is a reason why wages lag behind reality. Productivity rises, technology advances, efficiency explodes, wages stagnate. This is not accidental. Labor is a cost to be minimized. Ownership is a right to be protected. The system rewards what it values, and it does not value you. It values what you produce. The middle class is not a class. It is a buffer designed to absorb economic shocks, maintain consumption, believe stability is permanent. The middle class works just enough to fear falling, but not enough to challenge the structure. Comfort is the most effective leash. Information is power, but only if received early. Markets move before headlines. Policies are priced in before announcements. By the time the public reacts, the winners are already positioned. You don't lose because you're slow. You lose because you're last. You are transparent to the system. Your income, your spending, your identity, your movement. The system is opaque to you. Algorithms are hidden. Decisions are automated. Accountability is diffused. Power prefers invisibility. The system was not built to crush you. That would create resistance. It was built to contain you, just comfortable enough to keep you compliant, just unstable enough to keep you afraid. Now that you see who the system protects, the next question becomes unavoidable. How does it keep you inside it? Because control is not enforced by force, it is enforced by psychology. The most powerful prison is the one you don't know you're in. There are no chains, no guards, no walls. Only habits, expectations, and beliefs you never chose. Old systems ruled through violence. New systems rule through architecture. You are not threatened into obedience. You are guided into it. Every option you see has already been filtered. Every choice you make exists within boundaries you didn't design. Freedom is not removed, it is curated. Control works best when it feels like your idea. You wake up early, not because you must, but because successful people do. You chase productivity, not for freedom, but for approval. The system replaces survival with aspiration, and aspiration keeps you running without asking why. Time is the first resource taken. Your time is fragmented. Meetings, notifications, deadlines, commutes. By the time you stop moving, you are too exhausted to think. Exhaustion is not a side effect, it is a strategy. A tired population does not organize. Busyness feels productive, but it prevents reflection. If you are always occupied, you never ask, where am I going? Who benefits from this? What happens if I stop? The system doesn't need you to be happy, it needs you busy. Fear no longer has a single source, it is ambient. Inflation, job insecurity, health costs, social instability, nothing is catastrophic enough to revolt over. Everything is stressful enough to comply. This is not chaos. This is managed anxiety. The media doesn't lie. It distracts you. Outrage cycles, trends, scandals. Your attention is constantly redirected away from structural issues toward emotional noise. Anger is exhausted before it organizes. You are offered endless choices. Products, opinions, identities. This feels like freedom, but real power comes from limiting choices. When everything matters, nothing does. The system doesn't suppress dissent, it drowns it. You are not competing with institutions, you are competing with peers. Who earns more? Who looks happier? Who appears successful? As long as you fight sideways, you never look up. Points, badges, metrics. Your worth is quantified. Likes, followers, credit scores, performance reviews. Once life becomes a game, you stop questioning the rules. You just try to score higher. Rebellion is sold back to you as fashion, as content, as an attitude. You feel rebellious while remaining economically dependent. The system doesn't silence rebels. It monetizes them. When things go wrong, you blame yourself. You feel lazy, undisciplined, unlucky. The system remains innocent. This internalization is critical because a person who blames themselves never blames the structure. Eventually, control becomes identity. You say, that's just how life is. This is normal. It could be worse. Acceptance replaces resistance, not because you agree, but because imagining alternatives feels impossible. Systems built on invisibility become fragile once they are seen, and awareness is the one thing the system cannot automate. Every system fears the same thing. Not anger, not protest, not even collapse. It fears awareness because awareness changes behavior and behavior breaks models. Awakening is never loud. People don't wake up in crowds. They wake up alone, late at night in moments of quiet. When the numbers don't add up anymore, when effort no longer guarantees security, when loyalty no longer buys stability, that's when the questions begin. The first realization is subtle. This isn't working the way I was promised. Not dramatic, not revolutionary, just uncomfortable. You still try harder, still adjusting, still blame yourself, but something has shifted. You are no longer asleep. The system tolerates early awareness because early awareness is harmless because awareness without action still feeds the system. You complain, you vent, you post, then you go back to work. The system only reacts when awareness turns into withdrawal. Withdrawal is the real threat when people withdraw their attention, their labor, their belief. That's when systems panic because systems are sustained by participation, not force. Every collapsing system shows the same signs: declining trust, rising complexity, increasing control, decreasing legitimacy, but instead of reforming, it doubles down because power rarely self-corrects. Reform threatens incumbents, and incumbents write policy. So instead of changing the system changes the narrative. If people struggle, it's economic cycles, it's personal responsibility, it's temporary, never structural. Awareness becomes dangerous when people stop asking, how do I succeed inside this system? And start asking, what happens if I stop playing? That question terrifies institutions. The system is easy to enter. It's hard to leave because exit requires unlearning, risk, uncertainty, and uncertainty is framed as failure. Safety becomes the cage. Most people don't stay because they believe. They stay because they're afraid. Afraid of instability, judgment, starting over, being wrong. Fear is the final lock. Modern resistance is subtle. Not riots, not revolutions, but side income, skill stacking, asset ownership, decentralized thinking. People stop asking permission. They start positioning, but the system calls this risky because anything outside the system is labeled dangerous. Not because it is, but because it cannot be controlled. The system fears what it cannot measure. Awareness changes priorities. Once awake, status matters less, stability feels fragile, time becomes sacred. You stop chasing validation, you start chasing leverage. Awakening isolates you because you can't unsee patterns. Conversations feel shallow, goals feel misaligned. This loneliness is temporary, but it is necessary because awareness alone is not enough. Understanding the system doesn't free you. Knowing how it reacts when threatened does. When systems feel threatened, they do not announce it. They adjust quietly, behind policy language, behind safety narratives, behind necessary reforms. Control never returns suddenly. It returns incrementally. Every large system responds to threat in three predictable ways: normalize the problem, increase complexity, centralize control. These responses are not conspiratorial, they are structural reflexes. When instability rises, the system reframes it. High prices become the new normal, surveillance becomes security, restrictions become temporary measures. People adapt faster than they resist. Normalization is the system's first shield. When trust declines, systems add layers. More rules, more forms, more compliance steps. Complexity discourages challenge because the more complicated something feels, the less likely people are to question it. Confusion replaces accountability. Decentralized systems are fragile. Centralized systems are efficient. So during crisis, power consolidates, decision-making narrows, exceptions become permanent, all in the name of stability. Crises are useful because they justify changes that would be rejected in calm times. People trade freedom for certainty when fear is high, and once given up, freedom is rarely returned. Control is always wrapped in care. It sounds like, for your safety, to protect the economy, to prevent abuse. Opposition is framed as irresponsibility because who argues against safety? Monitoring is sold as efficiency, but efficiency is not the goal. Predictability is. The more predictable you are, the easier you are to manage. Data replaces trust, deviation becomes criminalized. Systems don't punish thought, they punish behavior. Anything outside standard pathways becomes suspicious. Alternative income, alternative finance, alternative structures. Deviation is reframed as risk, then force is the last resort. Force is expensive. Visible repression creates martyrs, so modern systems prefer financial pressure, access denial, administrative friction. You are not jailed, you are restricted. Then the illusion of choice returns. After control tightens, choice is reintroduced, but only within smaller boundaries. This creates relief, and people mistake relief for freedom. Most people don't want freedom, they want predictability, and the system offers predictability in exchange for autonomy. It's a trade many accept willingly. Over time, the cost accumulates. Innovation slows, trust erodes, legitimacy decays, but the system continues because inertia is powerful. Yet here's the paradox. The more control a system exerts, the more fragile it becomes because over-optimized systems cannot adapt, and adaptation is the only thing that ensures survival. The system looks permanent, ancient, unmovable, inevitable, but permanence is an illusion created by scale. In reality, the system is fragile because it is over-engineered. Strong systems resist pressure. Resilient systems adapt to it. The modern system is strong, but not resilient. It resists change so aggressively that it loses flexibility, and rigidity is the precondition of collapse. Interdependence is weakness. Every layer depends on another. Finance depends on confidence. Confidence depends on stability. Stability depends on participation. Remove participation, and everything downstream shakes. The system survives not on force, but on belief. Efficiency removes redundancy. Redundancy is expensive, so systems optimize just-in-time supply chains, centralized payment rails, unified databases. This works until it doesn't, then failure cascades. Complex systems fail quietly. No single moment, no clear villain. Small failures compound until the system can't correct itself. By the time collapse is visible, it's already inevitable. This is why trust is the real currency. Money is symbolic. Trust is foundational. Once trust erodes, markets freeze. Institutions lose legitimacy. Rules are ignored, and rebuilding trust is harder than building systems. The system must project confidence even when unstable. Admitting fragility accelerates collapse. So warnings are downplayed. Signals are muted. Optimism becomes policy. Collapse feels sudden because denial lasts too long. Like a dam under pressure, failure happens at the weakest point, not gradually. People mistake silence for stability. Every generation believes their system is different, more advanced, more rational, more permanent. Every generation is wrong. Technology amplifies systems. It increases speed, scale, reach, but it also amplifies failure. When digital systems break, they break everywhere at once. Control suppresses feedback. Feedback is how systems self-correct. Without feedback, errors persist, misallocation grows, reality diverges from models. Eventually, the gap becomes unmanageable. The system begins to rely on narratives more than results. Confidence statements replace outcomes. When words matter more than reality, fragility has already set in. If the system is fragile, then the final question emerges. What does winning even mean inside a system that was never built for you? And is winning inside it the right goal at all? If the system was never designed for you to win, then the most dangerous lie is believing that winning means beating others inside it, because the system defines winning very carefully. A higher salary, a better title, a larger house, more visible success. All of these keep you inside the game. They do not free you from it. The system applauds when you work harder, earn more, consume more, upgrade your lifestyle, because every one of these wins deepens your dependency. You feel successful, but you are more entangled than ever. Winning, as defined by the system, is simply advanced participation. The system offers peaks that look like summits. Promotions, status, recognition. You climb for years, only to realize you're standing on a higher platform inside the same cage. The walls are just harder to see. As long as winning means doing better than others, you never ask, is this even worth doing? Comparison keeps your eyes sideways. Freedom requires looking up and out. Real winning is not accumulation. It is optionality. The ability to say no, the ability to walk away, the ability to slow down without panic. The system fears people with options. The wealthy are not those with the most money. They are those who control their time. Time you don't own is time someone else controls, and control over time is control over life itself. This is why the system taxes time first. Long hours, commutes, meetings. Not because they are productive, but because they leave no room to imagine alternatives. A person with time begins to question everything. Income is linear. Leverage is exponential. The system teaches income because it is predictable. It discourages leverage because leverage breaks dependency, ownership, skills that scale, assets that work without permission. These are not emphasized by accident. Escaping the system does not look dramatic. There are no speeches, no announcements, no rebellions. Only subtle repositioning. Before anyone exits physically, they exit psychologically. They stop internalizing blame. They stop seeking validation. They stop confusing obedience with virtue. This is the most dangerous step and the least visible. Fragile people depend on one thing, one job, one income stream, one institution. Resilient people build redundancy, flexibility, multiple options. The system punishes fragility last and rewards resilience quietly. Ownership changes behavior. Not speculative ownership, but real, defensible control, skills, assets, networks, things that cannot be frozen, paused, or revoked easily. You don't leave the system entirely. You choose where to engage. You use it without letting it use you. This is not rebellion. This is strategy. The system allows this because only a minority would do it. Most people prefer comfort to autonomy. The system doesn't collapse because a few leave. It collapses when belief disappears. The system will not end overnight. There will be no single event, only gradual erosion. As trust declines, control increases. As control increases, legitimacy weakens. This loop continues until participation becomes forced, and forced participation never lasts. Technology will only accelerate the divide. Automation will not eliminate work. It will eliminate bargaining power. Those without leverage will feel trapped. Those with it will become invisible. The system will claim this is progress. Efficiency will be celebrated, optimization praised, and freedom quietly narrowed, not through cruelty, but through convenience. The system ultimately fails because it mistakes compliance for loyalty, and loyalty cannot be enforced forever. Eventually, people stop believing, and belief is the final pillar. The system was never designed for you to win. Not because it hates you, but because it doesn't see you. It sees inputs, outputs, risk, efficiency. Winning to the system means functioning smoothly, not human flourishing. You don't have to destroy the system. You don't have to fight it. You only have to stop confusing survival with success. Stop chasing validation from structures that profit from your exhaustion. Winning is not escaping to some perfect world. Winning is waking up inside this one, seeing clearly, choosing deliberately, and building a life that does not collapse when permission is withdrawn. The moment you realize the system was never designed for you to win is the moment you stop trying to beat it at its own game and start designing a life that no system can take away.